awakening for the benefit of ourselves and others. It fuels our path through the thick and thin, the easy and the difficult times in our life. It's like having a ballast on a ship. When you have the ballast, then you reach your destination. Bodhicitta is the ballast of your spiritual ship. So take a moment and make a personal prayer right now of your own bodhicitta prayer, aspiration for your life and your practice. And I'll share with you a mudra. It's the bodhicitta mudra. You can open your eyes. It's called the single pointed intention. You put your hands together. I'm caught. There. Put your hands together and keep the middle fingers upright. The other fingers fold, and then the thumbs are parallel. So this symbolizes the single pointed intention to awaken for the benefit of self and others. The twofold bodhicitta, self and others. You can feel that in your body. What does the mudra do for you and your body, mind? You can feel it perhaps as like an antenna that's sending out the prayer, single pointed intention. But it can also receive the blessings. And then feel free to bring your hands down to your lap, palms down on the thighs if you wish. And take a moment to situate ourselves in this room, in this body even, this earth body made of the elements of fire, water, air, earth and space. And then we find ourselves within the environment of the 5 elements, breathing, absorbing the moisture, emitting moisture, the heat within the body, the digestive fire, metabolism. The earth is like the bones, this quiet, stable aspect of your body. And then the space between the cells, between the organs. The waters, the blood, the lymph, the fluids. And situating ourselves on this Liz John Aloni land, remembering that we're a part of history in some way here and that we open our hearts to the healing that is happening. And through our bodhicitta prayer, in some way we acknowledge where we are in this time and place. And then to begin, we'll do our prayer. We'll do 11 repetitions of the Sharana Gata Dinarta prayer. The top of your sheet. If you need to look at it, you can read it. It's a shloka from the Devi Mahatmya prayer. Longer text. If you wish, if you're new, you can read the English translation beneath the Sanskrit. And we'll begin with the Sanskrit. I'll call, and you can repeat after me. We'll do that through the whole shloka the first time. Excuse me, and then we'll sing it together 11 times. Opening ourselves to the blessings of the Great Mother in her many forms, this womb of totality, the genetrix of the awakened state, as Narayani in this prayer. She goes by many names. Sharanagata Dinarta Sharanagata dinarta paritrana parayane paritrana parayane sarvasyarti hare devi sarvasyarti hare devi narayani namostute narayani namostute Sharanagata dinartha paritrana parayane sarvasyarti hare devi narayani namostute Sharanagata dinartha paritrana parayane sarvasyarti hare devi narayani namostute Sharanagata dinartha paritrana parayane sarvasyarti hare devi narayani namostute Sharanagata dinartha paritrana parayane sarvasyarti hare devi narayani namostute Sharanagata dinartha paritrana parayane sarvasyarti hare devi narayani namostute Sharanagata dinartha paritrana parayane sarvasyarti hare devi narayani namostute Sharanagata dinartha paritrana parayane sarvasyarti hare devi narayani namostute Sharanagata dinartha paritrana parayane sarvasyarti hare devi narayani namostute Sharanagata dinartha paritrana parayane sarvasyarti hare devi narayani namostute Sharanagata dinartha paritrana parayane sarvasyarti hare devi narayani namostute Sharanagata dinartha paritrana parayane sarvasyarti hare devi narayani namostute. Now we'll spend some time chanting to Tara, Arya Tara, Noble Tara, with her mantra that goes Om Namo Arya Tara. We'll chant for some time together, 5 minutes or so. This has a syncopated rhythm, so listen for it, and you'll be able to take the breath in that pause. Feel free to listen for a while until you feel confident and join in whenever you feel ready. The mantra is Om Namo Arya Tara. It means Om, the Supreme Consciousness, Om. Namo is to name or to honor. I pay homage. Arya is noble. Tara is the Savioress, the female Buddha of compassion, Tara. Om Namo Arya 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 Tara. Om Namo Aryatara, 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 Om Namo Aryatara. So let's go ahead and open our eyes. So the plan for the evening is a little different than what we normally do. Normally we would sit first, but I'd like to roll out some teaching on the Tonglen practice, which is the heartbeat of the Lojong. And I haven't taught it explicitly in a long time. And I feel that now is a good time. So tonight will be Tonglen. I'll teach on it, I'll guide you through it. Before we actually do this sitting practice, I'll guide you through some movement so you can stretch your legs and feel good for the longer sit, okay? But as we were doing the Aryatara, we did one mala. That was about 5-6 minutes. It dawned on me that you might be curious about the mala and the role it plays in practice, in tantric Buddhist practice, and maybe how to use it yourself. Is that something you'd be interested? I could teach on it in like 5 minutes. Is that something you want to do? Because you should all have a mala. Find one if you want one. Don't be shy about it. Like, get one and make it your own. Because the more mantra you do with the mala, it gets juiced up. It gets charged up with your prayers and your mantra recitation. So yeah, come wherever I can see you. I like to see you. You could come forward. Yeah. Good. Okay, so usually malas have 108 beads. That's the shorter ones will have sometimes 27, which is a fourth of 108. So the wrist malas might be 27. Some have like 24, and I don't know why, but 27 is more common in my experience. And it can be made out of, this one's made out of lotus seeds. It can be made out of lapis lazuli, turquoise, coral, any kinds of kind of stones, precious stones that you feel that might be good for you in the phase of your life. You can actually make your own mala. I'm sure there's some YouTube videos on how to make your own mala, but you can also find them already made in Buddhist stores, or spiritual stores. So 108 main beads, but then we have some counter beads on there. Sometimes the counter beads are additional to the 108, and sometimes they are included in the number of 108. Why 108, you might ask? There are a few different answers. The one that I most commonly hear is that in the Sanskrit language, which is considered to be a language given to us by the gods, not a man-made language, a human-made language, a God-given language, sacred sound, there are 54 vowels and consonants. It's a big alphabet. 54 vowels and consonants. And so that accounts for half of the number 108, why it's sacred. And then the additional 54 is the sound ah, the inherent breath that is breathed into each consonant and vowel, by the way. Ah is like the basis, the AH, A, ah. So that makes 108. So there are other explanations, but that's a nice one. I'll leave it at that. And then most malas you might see up top have like a larger bead. This one's not that much larger, but usually they're a bit bigger than the other beads. It's called the guru bead. The guru bead represents your spiritual teacher, and usually there's some kind of, you can't really see it very well, but this is a infinity knot, embroidered infinity knot, which signifies interdependence, emptiness and interdependence. But not all of them will have this. There's just kind of decorative beads on the top. But this guru bead is important because it's like where you start. You hold the mala in the Buddhist tradition. Now, the Hindu tradition has different ways of doing this, but in the Buddhist tradition, we actually hold the mala in our left hand. It's considered, the left side is considered to be wisdom. The right side, the right hand, is compassion. So we hold this in the left hand to support our wisdom nature growing. And of course, compassion is there too. And usually you have the string on the index finger, and then you pull the bead. This is kind of stretched out because I wear it a lot around my wrist. It shouldn't have that much space in between the beads. But you would hold it, and then you pull it along with the thumb. So with each mantra, Om Namo Aryatara, Om Namo Aryatara, you can hold it here. You can hold it on your lap. Doesn't matter, really. Some people do it with the middle finger and the thumb, like this. Either way is fine, like that. Okay. The Hindu tradition holds it in their right hand because the left hand is considered to be less clean than the right. You know, in India, maybe still today in certain places, you wouldn't eat with your left hand. You don't shake hands with your left hand. We don't really either here. Because you do other things with the left hand. If anybody's lived in India or is from India, you know what I mean. Before the days of toilet paper, you would clean yourself with the left hand. So you wouldn't do sacred things with the left hand. So you wouldn't hold the mala. But I talked to my Tibetan lamas, and they said, in Tibet, we didn't do it like that. So the left hand has different significance and doesn't have that connotation. But you can do both. I've done both, but more commonly it's in the left. And then you could wear it around the left wrist. Okay. The other beads are usually this one's a little different than normal. I didn't make this one. But normally you would have, I'm going to ignore these little silver counters right now. You would have a different colored bead, 21 beads from the guru bead. And that helps you count your mantra. 21 is a common number to count mantra. So if you have a shorter practice, you could just do 21. So each side would have 21 from the guru bead, and then you would have one at 54. And usually this would be bigger. My other mala actually recently broke. And that's something else I want to share with you. That's not a bad sign. That's actually considered to be a good thing. Do you know why? You want to guess?
It's getting a lot of use.
It's getting a lot of use. I remember once it broke, I was at a Dharma center and I was like, oh no, it fell all over the shrine floor. And the monk said, no, this is good, very good. It means you're using it a lot. So if you can, you gather what you can find, and you could remake that same mala, or you just make a new one if you can't find enough. And then some people, when you're doing a lot of mantra, you could also get these additional counters. They have little silver beads on them, on each one, 10. And then at the end, you have a little tiny bell and a little vajra. The bell symbolizes wisdom. The vajra symbolizes compassion. So it's said that if you're a tantric Buddhist, if you're a tantric practitioner, you should never leave your home without your bell and your vajra. Why? That's a code. That's code. It's a code word. Those are code words for saying don't leave without your wisdom and your compassion. So these are reminders. So the bell and vajras, they're kind of heavy. They're made out of metals, and so if you've got the mala with the little bell and the vajra, then you're filling that promise, metaphorically. And so like one round. So why also 108? You would count just 100. You do the full 108, but each of these beads counts for 100. Why? They say 8 extras for the times that you're distracted. in your recitations. Really count those 8. We just count 100. You go around, count 1 of the beads. Around 2, around 3, all the way to 10. And that means you've done 1,000. And then on the other side with your bell, you would mark 1. That means 1,000. Then you do 10 using the Vajra. Once you get to 10 again, then you would come over here and move the bead over 1 more, 2,000. So with this system, you can keep track of 100,000 mantras. And when you're really focusing on a particular deity, like doing deity yoga, guru yoga, where you're praying for the blessings of a deity and receiving the blessings and then merging your mind with the deity so that you become one, you recognize that you are the deity, your enlightened essence is none other than the mind of the deity. You would do a certain amount of mantras, like commit to doing 100,000 of Tara mantras, for example, in retreat or at home, throughout the week, whatever. Sometimes they do like a million, like Guru Rinpoche, Padmasambhava is one of the great Dzogchen teachers, and then became kind of like this representation of the ultimate nature of mind, the Guru. So you would do that mantra, Om Ahong Vajra Guru Pema Siddhi Hong. That's his mantra. You could do 1 million. And that's called in Tibetan drooping the deity. Droop, to droop. I mean, that's an English version of it. But to droop a deity means to accomplish the deity. That you've spent time. You've merged your mind with the mind of the deity. So the mala represents that, like that devotion. If you ever take teachings from a spiritual teacher, a lama or anyone, you could, at the end, usually you give like a white scarf and in gratitude. It's a common final ceremony. And often you can take off your mala and give it to them and say, will you bless my mala? They'll take it and they'll say some prayers into the mala and blow their blessings into the mala, shake it, and then give it back to you. So, your mala is like your little holy little Shakti, and that's so. A lot of people are drawn to wearing malas. There's nothing wrong with wearing one without knowing what it means. But even better is to wear one and know what it means and use it. You see, rappers or movie stars, they're wearing their mala. I see people in movies all the time, like this guy's with tattoos and he's wearing a mala. Like, do these people know what the mala means? It's all right. It's not the end of the world, I can't really see you. I'm sorry. I like to be able to see everybody. Yeah, could you could you scoot over just a little to your right? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so any questions about that? Yes, tell me your name too.
Abby.
Abby.
Do you always recite them out loud, or is there a different reciting them?
You can do both. Yeah. It depends. When you're in like a sangha, when you're with your community, it's nice to start chanting together like we did, but then often we switch into more internal practice, more internal recitation, and it can be even quiet. This is not like a hard and fast rule within the Tibetan Buddhist tradition that I'm mainly in. Is usually like in larger and also personal spaces, you can start with like Om Namo Aryatara, do 21 out loud, for example. And then after 21, you could switch into a quieter, more like, they say, recite like the buzzing of the bees. Like it vibrates in you. So Om Namo Aryatara, Om Namo Aryatara, Om Namo Aryatara, Om. Or recite the mantra just loud enough so that your collarbones can hear. It's so good. But you can also do it completely silent and just do it mentally. Like when you're in the airplane and turbulence is getting really bad. Om Namo Aryatara. I often will recite. This is like my safety blanket, when I'm scared or nervous. I travel. I use my mala a lot. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Tell me your name.
Carson.
Carson. Hi.
With this practice, do you hold the meanings of the mantra as you're reciting it, or over time? Does it kind of
Yeah.
just come down to the sound?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. It is a devotional practice. So the meaning of this mantra, Om, I pay homage to the noble Tara. Like that's inherent. Like I understand, I know what that means. And so as I'm chanting, I let that suffuse my experience without too much intellectualization. But it's reminding me, oh, right, I'm not just mouthing the words. I'm here to open to her blessings. Because the mantras are like, they're like, um, they're incantations, you could say. Mantra, if you were to translate it, you could translate it as incantation or like verbal or like a word formula for that particular deity. So it's like we're resonating at the wavelength of that particular deity. So it's like we're knocking on their door. We're saying, "Zzz, I'm here. Come, please. I need some help." And so, yeah, it's that spirit that we bring into it. But then the sound also has its own inherent blessings too. I mean, they don't normally translate mantras. Like Tibetans say mantra in Sanskrit. We say mantra in Sanskrit. We don't translate it into English or Tibetan and then recite it in English and Tibetan. It stays in that sacred language of Sanskrit. So that it has inherent blessings within the sacred alphabet. Yeah. Anyone else? How many people have their own mala that they use in their meditation? Yeah. Good, good. Yeah, in the Hindu tradition, often the malas will have little knots in between the beads, and that's fine. Some people like that. But in the Tibetan tradition, they don't. It's usually just so you can kind of pull it along. Something kind of nice about that. I'm used to that, so I like it. But both are totally fine. Different colors, different stones will be used for different deities. You have your fierce stones for fierce deities and peaceful stones like the lotus bead for peaceful deities. Yes, what's your name?
Moideen.
Moideen?
Yeah, perfect.
Ah.
What would be some tips or strategies that you have for avoiding or navigating like urges to intellectualize while you're like performing a mantra or something?
Yeah. The pesky mind, you want to just shake it off and sometimes it won't leave us alone, right? Yeah, I think getting into the sound could help kind of dissolve the structure or the scaffolding of the thinking mind. And also, it's a good question. I mean, I've heard different definitions of mantra. I've heard it as mind protection, but I know it can be translated as different things. But man is manas, right? The mind. Tra is to protect or to save. And so it can, in a sense, replace our habitual thoughts. And I use it a lot like that. Like if I notice I'm in a fear-based mentality, or if I'm, catastrophic thinking, that type of thing. If I'm, uh, blessed in the moment to remember, or through mindfulness or habit, I remember, oh, here I am again. Why don't I do some mantra to replace that thinking pattern? So instead, I just start chanting Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Yeah. Avalokiteshvara's mantra, or Om Tare Tutare Ture Svaha. Tara's 10-syllable mantra. And then I remember her. I remember what she represents or what he represents. And that's like food, like soul food, like, oh, please save me from myself, And that can help replace the doom scrolling mind, the reruns. And I think it's like grace. It starts to happen. It might not be immediate. It's like you're developing a new habit when you do mantra. You're replacing mundane thoughts with something more elevated, something that is more meaningful ultimately, usually. Depends on what you're replacing, of course, but does that help a bit? Yeah, give it a go. Anyone else? Yes, and remind us of your name, Paul.
Deity selection.
Deity selection? I just got this image of like being at a jukebox, like I'll take the 305 deity there, Om Tare Tu Tare Ture, with that upbeat melody. Yeah, it really, I mean, deity selection can come from you, but also can come from your teacher. So, if you feel an affinity towards a deity, maybe you've had a dream or dreams about deities, or just a feeling like you've read about a deity or deities and you feel like, Tara, oh, Vajrapani. Then you can start to go deeper into that. And then usually like the interdependence rises up to support you in some way, and somehow you'll find a way. You'll receive like a teacher. You'll see a flyer for a Tibetan Lama coming through town giving that deity teaching. That's happened to me a lot. That kind of thing happens to all of us, sometimes. So follow the signs. As Tibetan teachers I've had the good fortune to be around, whether I'm traveling on pilgrimage or other things, they tend to navigate their lives through Tendrel. Tendrel is the interdependence, like really noticing what are the signs presenting themselves to us right now. What does that mean? And you can do that with deity selection too. And sometimes you'll ask your teacher, who do you think would be good for me at this phase in my life? And they can give that to you too. Mantras are usually given through empowerment or at least transmission. Some mantras you need like an empowerment to do those practices and those mantras. But then there are other mantras that I like to call like open source mantras, in the sense where you don't need the empowerment for it. And Tara is one of them. Avalokiteshvara is another one. Vajrasattva is another one. That one's amazing. It's 100-syllable mantra. I've thought about offering a workshop to teach it to you all because it's so beautiful. Vajrasattva, he's it's all about purification. He's the absolute nature of mind, and the visualization is very profound and beautiful. And it's a little mountain to climb, to learn the 100-syllable mantra. And so those are mantras that I can share with you freely here. I don't need to give, I'm not even authorized to give empowerment, but like they're in my book. The 21 Tara mantras are in my book. I asked Khenpo Tsewang, is it okay for me to publish the mantras in the book? And he said, absolutely. Tara, everyone should practice Tara. She's open for everyone. She's ever present, swift like the wind, ready to help beings in need. Yeah, she's very powerful. She's one of my Ishta Devatas, my tutelary deities, my main practices. Okay? All right. Okay, so a little bit about Tonglen, then we'll stretch and then we'll do the practice. Does that sound good? Did you like learning about the mala? Is that interesting for you? You going to get one if you don't have one? So if you get it, you'll be like, now I know what it means. I'm not a poser. It's not cultural appropriation if you honor where it's coming from, you understand its roots, and you know what it means. That's called cultural exchange. Cultural exchange. And that's a good thing. Dharma wouldn't have spread all around the world if there wasn't cultural exchange. Of course it needs to go to Tibet, China, Japan, Burma, all around Southeast Asia, here. If we're uptight about sharing cultural stuff, then we're never going to learn from each other. But we have to understand the root of it. Okay? You understand what I mean? Yeah. Your name too.
Yeah, Ryan.
Ryan, good.
It just made me think of a rosary also.
Rosary.
And
Similar.
It's interesting that all those
Yeah.
various traditions have kind of a similar tool for, I guess, tracking the
Yes. Yes. It is. It's a powerful thing, and it helps to focus you. It gives you, here I am. I'm doing my mantra. You don't need this, but it's like a focal point, and it represents so much depth and beauty. Yeah, it's like mala means rosary. Mala, the Sanskrit word, is, you could translate it as rosary. Yeah, good. Okay. So, cultural exchange, not cultural appropriation, and definitely not cultural violence. That's where where people take and then call it their own, make money on it. Take, we're not doing that. But all of us, like I'm in danger of doing that with the Dharma. Yoga teachers are in danger of doing that without understanding the root. We have to really check ourselves, check ourselves. That's why I learned the language. For me, that was my cultural exchange. Not everybody can do that. That's okay. But at least having an appreciation and a depth and training in the tradition before you start charging money for workshops that you've kind of, mixed a little bit of this, mixed a little bit of that, mixed a little bit of that, put it together and package it as if you realized it on your weekend retreat. I'm exaggerating. A lot of good people are out there doing beautiful things, innovations. But I've also heard a lot of teachers teach Dzogchen, for example, great perfection, without saying where they learned it from, without giving respect to their teachers. Teaching it as if it's something naturally arising within them. Of course, there's probably some degree of that because it is that. It's our true our absolute nature. It's our natural state, Dzogchen. But there are so many preparatory practices that you have to go through to actually finally receive authentic Dzogchen teaching, at least in the traditional way, that for me, it's kind of it's something that bothers me. Because I'll admit it, I went through 10 years of intensive training before I even got Trekchut and Tugel, the pinnacles of Dzogchen. And I'm not authorized to teach that. And then I see people all around the Bay Area and other places, maybe even here sometimes, like teaching Dzogchen. And I have no idea where they're coming from, like who their teachers are. It's nowhere to be found in the description and in their teaching. So you guys have to be careful. Just be careful. Ask your teachers where they get this from. Who's their teacher? Where did it come from? They say in Tantra, I mean, it's pretty extreme, but they say taking on, like as a teacher, as a student, taking on a teacher without checking them is like drinking poison. And from the teacher's point of view, taking on a student without checking the student is like jumping off a cliff. Because Tantra is high stakes. Tantra is edgy. You're transmuting the poisons into wisdom. I mean, that's extreme. I mean, that's like in the context of like, okay, if the teacher tells me to jump off the roof, I'm going to do it. There are all these kind of Mahasiddha stories of like, the teacher tells somebody to jump off the cliff and they do it because they're so devoted to the teacher and they think they're going to die, but then they realize then they're floating. I mean, there's always some kind of saving grace there that happens. But it's like you have to be willing to do that. Do they actually ask you to do that? No. They say you have to have such a degree of faith that if they told you to eat shit, you would eat shit. I know it's disgusting, but it's true. They say that. So that's why you need to check your teachers. I'm not going to ask you to eat shit. Like, don't worry about me. I'm not a tantric guru, okay? It's big karma. I don't want to carry that load up the mountain, But I'm your spiritual friend. I'm your Kalyana Mitra. I'm somebody who might know a little bit more about this topic that's so rarefied than some of you, maybe not all of you. And so I'm out of joy. I'm here to share it with you. I'm not trying to be a guru. Guru is next level shit, That's okay. I'm cool. Just glad people show up, Like, it's so fun. Chanting and meditating together. Telling stories about eating poop and jumping off cliffs. My favorite thing, my favorite thing is to make people laugh. It's so good. Isn't there that saying, like, people won't remember what you've told them, they remember how you made them feel. And when we can laugh and cry even about stuff and Dharma, it's really good, I think. Okay. Any questions, comments about that? So check your teachers. You don't need to do like, they say 9 years, check your teacher for 9 years. You teacher, student checking each other for 9 years. 3 years, first 3 years, student checking the teacher. Like, Kate, you should check me for 3 years. I'm just using you as an example. And then if you like me and you want me to be your teacher, you'd come up to me and you say, would you be my teacher? And then I'd say, okay, I've seen you around. You seem cool. But let's see. Then I check you for 3 years. I watch you. I notice the questions. I see if you're really putting the Dharma into practice. I check you for 3 years. That makes 6, right? Then the last 3 years, I would say, well, after the 6 years, I'd say, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll take you as my student. Then we continue to check each other for an additional 3 years. And then then you're ready. So then if I asked you to eat poop, you'd eat poop. See? Yes.
Yeah, I want to comment, like as an Indian guy,
Yeah.
and like as like a yoga instructor,
Yeah.
I just really appreciate you having that conversation. Like it's so enriching, and just very appreciative of like bringing in like the political dimension of like spirituality.
Yeah.
How there's power dynamics, and how you're saying that you have to like express caution in those power dynamics. I just want to express appreciation.
Yeah. Good. That means a lot to me. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. It must be an interesting seat that you hold, teaching yoga in the West, seeing what you see, being of South Asian descent. And yeah, thank you for bringing that. We need you. Yeah. Such a beautiful tradition, so much beauty. Our world is we've gone astray, Don't you feel that when we look at the media and what's happening? There's so much beauty just ready to be experienced and held in the palms of our hands, and we don't even know it. Yeah. And a lot of it came from Mother India. It really did. Something magic happened there, The Buddha, the Vedas, all these great teachers. Makes me want to cry sometimes, I think we've all tasted that in meditation. We know this to a certain extent. Okay, so these Tonglen, what we've been doing, I'll just talk for a couple minutes here. Tonglen, and we'll do it. Tonglen means sending and receiving. Tong means to send. Len means to receive. So this practice is called taking and sending, or sending and receiving. Tong is sending. Len is taking. It reverses our usual logic of thinking, where we would avoid suffering and then seek out pleasure. I mean, of course, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But when we're on the spiritual path, we're trying to bring about what's called one taste. Ekarasa. Dangyom in Tibetan. One taste. What is that? Not only craving pleasure and pushing away pain. Like, can we walk the middle path between the two extremes of attachment and aversion, craving and aversion, these ways that we suffer? And so what Tonglen, along with all the Lojong teachings, these mind training teachings do, is teach us how to take everything on the path. One of the slogans is, when the world is filled with strife, transform all the joys and sorrows onto the path of awakening. And Tonglen is this beating heart of these mind training teachings. It's the practice. It's how we begin to even approach doing that. It rides the breath. It's very similar as metta. How many people have done loving kindness metta meditation? Okay, so beautiful practice taught by the Buddha, where we're wishing well for, sending love and metta, loving kindness, to ourselves, to loved ones, to neutral people we might not know, but also to our so-called enemies. And we're really growing that capacity to cultivate what's called immeasurable loving kindness, limitless loving kindness, enveloping the whole world, even the people we love to hate, right? So that's similar to Tonglen, except, so you could think of metta as like an earlier iteration, like the stem or the base, the 1.0 or whatever of Tonglen. So metta is the sending part of the Tong and the Len, right? It's the Tong. We're sending that metta out. We're sending it in to us too, but we're sending it to whoever needs it. Tonglen brings in this other more edgy dynamic of Len, which is to take on the suffering of the world. And I know that sounds heavy, but you're not literally like taking on the suffering of the world. You are growing your heart like Hanuman, you're growing, you're opening up your heart to have the capacity to say, I recognize that just like myself, all beings wish to be free of suffering. May I make use of this life and help alleviate that suffering? And we do that through prayer. We can do that through action, of course, too. So Tonglen is like the preparation for being out in the world and actually doing it. But we do it riding the breath. So the out breath is the sending of love, compassion, relief from suffering, all those well wishes. And then the inhale is the Len, is the taking. And may I help relieve the suffering. I dissolve it within this orb of light of the Buddha nature, this mind essence that's immutable at my heart, and then I send out a loving kindness. So it's that feeling of inhaling, taking in, exhaling, moving out. So I'm going to guide you through this experience. All right? Okay, let's go ahead and stand up. I'm feeling it. We need to move for a couple minutes. I'm going to guide you through about 5 minutes of movement, and then we'll sit. Or lie down, whatever you feel for the meditation. So these are the standing version of the warm-ups that we do usually. So let's go ahead and stand with the heels together, the feet slightly turned out. The right hand is on the navel, the left hand is on top of the right. So stand up tall, shoulders down the back, reach up through the crown of the head. Feel the tailbone drawing down towards the heels, to the center of the earth. The chest is lifted. The tongue is at the upper palate, the root of the front teeth. The jaw is relaxed, the face is relaxed, and the eyes gaze at an angle down towards the floor. Yeah, make sure you can see me. And if you want to be on the floor, you can spread out too. So it's up to you. So this is like a standing meditation, right? So let the mind go quiet and let the mind go global. Soles of the feet up to the crown of the head, the periphery of the skin. Breathe, feel the belly rise and fall beneath your hands. Think of this as a moving meditation. This is the beginning of your meditation practice. Let the mind be focused in the body with the breath, a natural in and out breath. And then with the exhalation, release the hands to the floor, heels go parallel. Step onto the left foot, and your right foot is slightly behind, and you're on the top of the toes. You're going to rotate outward 10 times. 1, 2, 3. Let the eyes be your drishti, your focal point to help with balance. Don't step on the dharma stuff, honey. Ryan, don't, yeah. Actually, take your stuff if it's on the floor and put it on a pillow or on your seat. It's not good to have the mantras on the floor. And then reverse. Good, yeah, it's all good. Feel the navel draw back towards the spine. And then other side. So we do about 10 cycles, but if I lose count, don't sweat it. Main point is The good news is you're moving your joints. Can never do enough of that. 7, 8, 9, 10. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Stand with the feet hip width distance apart. Chin down. We're coming up to the head now, moving the neck up and around to the right and then down to the left shoulder. 1, we'll do 5 repetitions. 2, relax the jaw and relax the shoulders. 3, circles can be small if you feel dizzy or pain in the neck. 4, last one. 5, come around to the chest and then reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. And come to center. Inhale. Re-establish your drishti. Exhale. Now shoulders forward, up, back, and down. 1, 2, 3. Good. 4, 5. Be loose. 7, 8, 9, 10. And reverse. 1, 2. So these practices come from South Indian dance and martial arts traditions. And also you might find these in Qigong, Tai Chi as well. They're kind of universal movements. And then bring the hands in front of the face, interlace the fingers. I've learned this from the Shadow Yoga school, from my teachers, Chandra Remite and Emma Balnaves. And then reverse. Relax the shoulders. Good. And now you're going to release the hands and spiral to your right. Helicopter arms. Be careful of your neighbors. 3, 4. Let the head and neck go. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again. 1, 2. The whole spine should get a nice pivot, rotation through the spinal column. 9 and 10. Then relax the arms. The hips spiral clockwise to the right. 2. The legs stay straight. The upper body's relaxed. The arms just dangle. Good. Feel like you're drawing a circle with the tailbone on the floor. 9 and 10. And reverse. 1, 2, 3. Good. 4. Deep breathing, releasing tension. 9 and 10. Good. Now, step the feet together. Bend the knees from the back of the knees forward. Hands come down, fingers in, and circle the knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax the shoulders. 6, 7, 8. Keep the heels down. 9 and 10. Feet should be together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Standing up, feet hip width distance apart. Bending the knees. We'll do the wave. Bending and then wave up through the spine. I'm making small movements because of my back situation, but you can make bigger wave movements if that feels good. You're like seaweed in the ocean. Seven, 8, and 9. Inhale now, arms raised. And then exhale, let them flop down. Good. Inhale. Exhale. Again, last time, inhale. Exhale. Good. And shake it out. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Good. Okay. Now let's come back down to your water lily. Make a comfortable seat for yourself. Feel free if you want to do the practice lying down. If your body needs that, you can do that as well. I might do that. Lying is one of the 4 main postures the Buddha taught. Essentially, that 4 postures are not static. Sitting, lying, standing, and walking, that just basically means practice all the time. You're sitting and eating lunch, driving, sleeping, meditating in all the body positions. So whatever's comfortable for you. The first ingredient for a successful meditation practice, if we even want to use that language, is relaxation. Good. Relaxation. Embrace whatever your body needs. Don't fight that. Honor yourself. Good. Take a moment. Get the blanket. Get the pillow. So we're going to sit for about 30 minutes, 25, 30 minutes. And I will guide you through this trajectory of practicing Tonglen, these 4 main stages of Tonglen. So as you settle in, finding a comfortable position, the legs are crossed, make sure the knees are supported against the cushion or little pillows if you need them. And then the hips are above the knees, sitting up nice and tall. The chest is lifted. Good. The hands can be palms down on your thighs or palms up on the thighs, or in the mudra of meditative equipoise with the left hand on the bottom, the right hand on top, and the 2 thumbs touching, the elbows a bit wide. Draw up through the central axis, the crown of the head, lifting the chin, slightly drawing back towards the center of the throat. You can begin with the eyes closed just to get settled here. The Tonglen, we usually do it with the eyes closed. And let's take some deep intentional breaths. Abdominal breathing, inhaling as the belly releases forward, filling with breath metaphorically, and the exhale, the belly drawing back towards the spine, emptying the breath. Take a few nice deep breaths like this, and releasing tension wherever you might find it in the body with the out breath, softening into meditation. Just letting yourself be as you are in the moment with the breath and the body. And this first step of Tonglen is to flash on openness or flashing on bodhicitta. Is resting your mind for a moment or two in this state of openness, of stillness, recognizing that the interdependence of all of us, of all things, this flash of open awareness. Traditionally, this is called flashing on absolute bodhicitta, the awakened heart-mind, or opening to the basic spaciousness and clarity, the nature of your own mind. And the next step is to begin this practice with the breath and the texture of the breath. So let your breath become natural, no forcing or control. We're just breathing naturally. And feel that within your heart chakra, this heart center, at the center of the sternum, center of the heart, is an orb of radiant golden light, like the sun, like the size of an orange or size of your fist. This is the heart of bodhicitta, the true nature of your own mind, that is beyond the duality of birth and death, the invincible, indestructible nature of your own mind. Breathing in and out directly to this space, as if you're breathing in through all your pores, into the heart space, breathing out through all of your pores. Spend some time connecting to the warmth and feeling of this golden orb of light at your heart. Your in-breath enlivens this luminosity, the heart space, as you draw the breath in, and your out-breath spreads this light and warmth to all the cells of your body. The in-breath aerates the space of the heart, maybe helping to break down any constriction or holding or like imprisonment. Sometimes we feel rigid or tight in the heart space. Let the in-breath aerate the heart space, opening it to the potential for healing and compassion. The out-breath releases that resistance, that holding. And the next step is to do Tonglen for ourselves first, just like in metta. We start with ourselves. So we spend some time simply breathing in and out, noticing your internal atmosphere, your emotional and physical feelings, the tapestry of who you are in this moment, Are there any areas where you feel stuck or in pain? You can do this practice for the pain you're feeling yourself and simultaneously for all those who feel the same kind of suffering. For instance, if you're feeling inadequate, breathe that in for yourself into that heart space. Let it come home. But while you're doing that, also imagine that all the others in the same boat of you, you're breathing all of that in, transforming it at this orb of light at your heart. And then sending out confidence, adequacy, relief in any form you wish that permeates your body, your mind and heart, as well as emitting from the cells, spreading to others. You can also move into another phase. You might feel, okay, I've breathed with that for a while now. What else is here? Or not. You can stay with whatever you're working with. Feel anxiety or sadness, depression, heartbreak, anything that's blocking you. Feel where it is in your body and breathe it in to the heart space. Welcome it home. And then with the out breath, let go of resistance, judgment, even concepts around it. And let this kind of opposite feeling, perhaps acceptance or relaxation or healing, suffuse your body with the out breath. Then on the basis of self-Tonglen, we expand our compassion to others. First, we shift now to a loved one. So when you're ready, we take the next step and we imagine a loved one in front of you, someone you care for that may be experiencing challenges. And here's where we add another dimension of this texture with the breathing. We can imagine that this loved one, their challenges surround them like a cloud. And with the in-breath, we draw in that smoky vapor to every cell of our body where it comes, touches that orb of light at our heart. And then with the out-breath, we send out a cool, clear, healing remedy for them. May you be well. This is the metta. May you be free of suffering. May you heal. Whatever that prayer is for you. You offer that in the form of metta, the sending. And then you inhale. With each breath, you're drawing their suffering off of them, out of them. This compassionate wish to lend, to take that and transform it at your heart. Send out the remedy. Take about 10 to 20 breaths here, working with a loved one. Really feel, let yourself feel that heart connection of, may I in some way help alleviate their suffering without attachment to the outcome, offering that up freely. May you be well, may you be free of suffering. And really see them with each breath, that cloud lightening and clearing around them. Their disposition begins to brighten and shift. And over the next few breaths, really begin to see them in their full radiance, totally free of whatever it is that ails them. Maybe they have a sparkle in their eye, they're smiling, whatever appears to you. And let that image dissolve back into the space of the mind. And the next step is to work with now a neutral person. This is a very interesting domain here. Because most of the world is this category, because we don't know most of the world, right? It can be an animal too, by the way. So we work with someone, maybe you see them around your neighborhood or at the market or at the post office or in some place you frequent, but you might not know them. You're not emotionally invested in their welfare. But you might have a sense that they might be, maybe they're busy or feeling, out of balance, or you can tell they're stressed. Whatever it is intuitively you might sense about them, whatever it might be, you don't even have to know. Bring this so-called neutral person to mind. See them as clearly as you can in your mind's eye, like the last time you saw them. And imagine that any ailment they may have, any obstacle, surrounds them like a dark, cloudy vapor, smoke around them. And recognize again, like you, this person I don't even know, I can recognize that they too wish to be free of suffering. We share that common humanity. May I help alleviate that in some way. So with the in-breath, begin to draw that in through every cell, pore of your body, into that orb of light at your heart. And then send out, like with the out-breath, a cool, clearing breeze. May they be well, may they be free of suffering. Whatever comes to you, offer it to them with the out-breath. Just like before, we'll do 10 to 20 breaths like this in silence, working with the neutral person. And remember, you might not have any influence on them. You might not ever know. Perhaps there is a ripple effect. We don't always know that. But what we can know is how this practice affects our own heart, how it can help us grow our own capacity for compassion and empathy. Feel what this is doing to you, this willingness to breathe in some stranger's suffering, and then send out compassionate well wishes. May you be well. I really want that for you. How does that feel? And over the next few breaths, really see them free of any suffering or hardship. Maybe they're standing up taller. Maybe they have a sparkle in their eye, a swing in their step, whatever it appears to you. Really see them in their full flourishing. May it be so. And then dissolving that into the space. And now shifting into a bit more of the edgy aspect of Tonglen, where we bring to mind a so-called enemy, someone who challenges us. Maybe you don't have an enemy in your life. Maybe it's you have just somebody who irritates you, or somebody who's been mean to you. Bring forth in your mind's eye this so-called enemy. Maybe you just simply don't like them, someone who did you wrong. You may have resistance here, that's okay, just be with it. Bring them into your mind's eye, perhaps seeing them the last time you saw them in that way. Maybe a boss, a colleague, a family member, ex-partner, so on. And remember, no matter what harm they've caused you or others, this person, just like you, wishes to be happy and free from suffering. They may be confused about how to go about finding that happiness. So just like before, see that this person is in front of you, perhaps remembering how they looked when you saw them last, and then see any ailment they have surrounding them like a dark cloud. And with each breath, with courage, you draw in that suffering with the texture of the cloud, smoky vapor drawing into the pores, to the heart, at your orb of light at the center of your heart, and sending out a cool, clearing breeze. May you be free of suffering. May you be free of the torment or the ignorance that makes you behave in these hurtful ways. May you heal so that you don't cause harm. Whatever it is to you, make it a personal prayer. And then offer it up free of attachment to the outcome. This is not a manipulation. This is an offering. May you be well. May you be free of suffering. And with the in-breath, may I have the strength and the willingness to breathe this in, transform it at my heart, and then offer up goodness for you. And now, over the course of the next few breaths, imagine that they begin to feel completely free of whatever it is that limits them. And again, their disposition brightens and they transform into the essence of who they are, goodness. And really wish that for them. May you be completely free of suffering. And then dissolve that back into the space of the mind. And now, for the final stage, we imagine that we are gazing down upon this beautiful earth from the moon. So you're up on the moon now, gazing down at this earth of blue, green, white. And we imagine that all of the suffering in the world manifests like a smoky vapor. And as now this sort of like limitless bodhisattva capacity of our luminous mind, heart, we imagine that we inhale all the suffering of the world through every pore of our body into the heart space, transform it at the golden orb of light, and then breathe out this cosmic breeze of cooling, healing energy flowing out and clearing and cleansing and bringing relief from suffering to all beings. So stay with the breath. Inhale, draw it in. Exhale, releasing, sending out. May you be free from suffering. May the world heal. Find peace and balance. May the intrinsic goodness, that Buddha nature, that spirit within all of us grow and manifest fully, free of ignorance and greed and delusion. And over the next few breaths, really see this coming to fruition. Any hardship, pollution, war, violence, all of it, breathe it in, then transform it at your heart, breathe out. That gets stronger wind. It blows it all away, clears it. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And then dissolve that visualization and let yourself rest. Just rest without doing anything. Just be in the body with the breath. Feel the after effect of the practice. Just be in the moment. Nothing to do, nowhere to be, except right here, right now. And then we'll end with chanting the Avalokiteshvara mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om, the jewel in the heart of the lotus. Hum, enlightened mind. So we're chanting this as a dedication prayer of compassion. This is the mantra of compassion. Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha of compassion. So as we chant the mantra, imagine that these prayers go out in all directions, blanketing the world and beyond, with light, with healing, with love. Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure to be with you and practice Dharma together tonight. Such a gift. So feel free to stay a while and have some tea and connect with friends. And thank you to the volunteers. We're always looking for more volunteers. If that's something you want to be a part of, you can ask. Tell me your name again. Sarah. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. And is there another volunteer in the room tonight? Yes, Carson. Thank you. Thank you. So it's a nice thing to be a part of, isn't it? To support and to get to know people. And yeah, we're co-creating this community here. So if you have time, if you have inclination, please talk to Sarah or Clayton. Okay, good night, everybody. I'll stay up here for a few minutes, not too long, but if you have a question, feel free to come up. Yeah, okay, bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bring your mala next time. I'll do mantra japa, mantra recitation.